When your application grows, you might have to add policies to handle advanced authorization scenarios. I've created a simple policy here that determines that only admin users can manage blog posts. Let's take a look at how we can test this. Before writing the tests, let me take you to the routes file so that you can see that we actually use the policy on this bunch of routes. Let's first check if the current test suite runs now that I've added the policy, and we have some failing tests. Let's take a look. These 3 tests are failing. So you can see that these 3 tests all are about editing a blog post. And when we take a look at the login function here, then you can see that we seed a random user. So sometimes it's an admin and sometimes it's not an admin. And I guess that while we were running the test suite, we were unlucky and we got a non-admin user here. On my user factory, I've also added some state functions to easily seed an admin and a guest. So to fix this error, I must let this login function always return an admin user. So I'm going to use my state function here. So now isAdmin is always true. And let's rerun the test. And if you're using PHP Storm, then you can press this button to rerun only these 3 failed tests. Let's take a look. They're all green now. Let's also run the entire test suite again, and everything is good. Okay, let's now write a test for this policy. And there are actually a couple of ways to do this. You could just in your test new it up, call manage, pass it to user, maybe a blog post, and take a look if it is expecting what you want. But we are going to test this policy in another way, using the entire app. So let's create a directory here called policies. And I'm going to create a file in here, blog post policy, and never forget adding the test suffix, otherwise PEST won't pick up on this test. And let's start writing our test. It will allow only admin users to manage blog posts. Let's give it a function. And for this test, we are going to need 2 users, an admin user. So user factory, we want an admin user. We are going to create it. Let's import this. And we also want a guest user. Like that. Now let's first log in the guest user. So remember that login function, it accepts a user, and when we pass one, that one will be used. And with that user logged in, let's try getting the index of the blog post in the admin section. So I'm going to use the get function, action blog post admin controller. We want to see the index. And we are going to assert that that isn't allowed. So assert forbidden. Let's import this get function. And for some reason, it doesn't allow me to, so I'm going to do it manually. Let's already try running this test, and it's green. Let's try to break it by changing something in our policy itself. And let's rerun the test. And now it fails, so that's good. Let's bring it back to green. And next, let's log in that admin user. And we are going to assert here that it succeeds. Let's run it again. And for some reason that isn't working, let's take a look at the index controller itself. We are expecting a simple view here. Let's maybe try dumping the response to see what happens. So dump. Let's see if there's a clue in here. We're getting redirected back to the login. So maybe nobody is logged in at this point. Let's check that. Let's dump the authenticated user. Let's take a look at the attributes and let's run it again. And we are getting an admin user. So this is really strange. Let's try running that again. Let's maybe try swapping it out to see if there's something wrong with the order here. And it still fails, but at which line? At line 15 now. So it fails on the second time we try getting that route. I wonder if it has something to do with the way that the test is being called. Let's maybe try do it in 2 separate tests. And now we have 2 separate tests. Let's try them both. So this one is green, and this one is now also green. In one of the next videos, I'll try to figure out why it wasn't working in a single test. But let's continue with this for now. Depending on the type of application that you're working with, this can be okay. But if you want to be real certain that you've applied a policy to each route that you need to protect, you will need to add a GET request for each of the routes where you expect it. Let's add every controller here that uses the policy. So now I've added all the routes where the policy is being used, and I've added the correct assertion. Sometimes it's successful for regular GET requests, and sometimes it's assert redirect when we make POST requests. And for a guest, everything is forbidden. Now you can see that we have quite a bit of duplication here. In the next video, we are going to clean this up by using PEST's datasets. Before we close off, let's also run these tests so you know that everything is green. So this one is green and this one is green.